Hey guys, one more last minute live stream as I run down some of my notes from Donna Adelson's defense closing argument. So I may have to slip into a Southern drawl because it's actually easier for me to talk in wacky or comedic voices. And one of the reasons why I left the courthouse is because I can't keep talking to random people. And, when you're sitting with people and people come up to you, you feel obligated to carry on a conversation. But due to my constant vocal problems, I had to just run off back to the comfort of my nice hotel room and just save my voice for these live streams for the rest of today. So first of all, I noticed people are going to say this is petty, but others have constantly mentioned this, that Jackie Fulford's suit jacket is way too long on her. It must be at least 3 or 4 inches too long. That's how obvious it is. And it's bizarre that no one on her team mentioned it to her. Look, why are you wearing the suit jacket that is so ill-fitting? The back of it sort of looked like it was okay, but those sleeves were just way, way too long. You would think that she could afford to just pay a little bit of money to get those hemmed. So besides her look, I thought her presentation, it was done as well as she could have, but there are so many holes in her arguments and weird things that were said that don't really help Donna's case whatsoever. In fact, she seemed to highlight the negatives and reinforced it in the minds of the jurors. So that I found kind of bizarre. Now, she starts out by saying again, what a wonderful, great, devoted father Dan Markel was. And that's kind of a good thing to start with, because she wants to make it look like Donna had no animosity towards Dan Markel as of the time he was killed. She said that it's not true that their witnesses attacked Dan Markel. He was a wonderful father. Well, I think that's totally contrary to one of the last witnesses, who was Lisa Bailey, the divorce attorney expert, who seemed to focus excessively on making fun of Dan Markel and belittling his legal filings and what he was doing. So you could tell that Kappelman was really getting fed up with this witness yesterday. Then Jackie said something totally bizarre, which I would certainly never say to a jury, which is, quote, "We have an obligation to defend our client." Why would you say that? Because that reinforces the idea that you're just there because of your paycheck, And she continued to repeatedly refer to Donna as my client, our client. And I'm thinking way back to the days of trial practice class back at law school, where we were specifically told you don't refer to your client as my client in front of the judge or the jury, because that again distances you from your client. And it just kind of hammers in the idea that this is just a business relationship, that it's just some distant person that is not like a great, wonderful friend type of person, but rather just like somebody who's paying you to be there. So she shouldn't have said that. That's just my opinion. And then Jackie Fulford says, there never was a bitter custody battle. That's just pretty much BS there, because the state clearly showed the overwhelmingly huge bunch of legal filings. Granted, not all of it had to do with child custody, but that was a real big point of contention because Wendy wanted to move away with the kids. So my comment there was that you don't have to want exclusive control of the kids in order for there to be a custody battle, because I've been sorry, my voice is dying, been in tons and tons of cases where one person didn't want exclusive control of the kids, but they were still wanting primary control, or they wanted a certain schedule. So that can be just as contentious as a case where one person wants to just take the kids and have 100% custody. So she was, again, saying some stuff that I think is false. Also false was the great level of false indignation that Fulford, I think, went totally overboard with that. You know, you see that attitude where she wanted the jurors to get mad at the state, like they're trying to tell you this, they're trying to tell you to think this way, but let me tell you what the truth is. So she definitely overdid it to the point where if I were on the jury, I probably would have shut down and thought, what's wrong with her? You know, she's got this horrible, pushy attitude that seems pretty fake, trying to make claims that the state is trying to pull something over them. So I hated that false indignation type of tone. So let me get something to drink. This is just really hard to keep talking. Now, apparently they took Rivera's deposition March 11th, 2025. So here I can see why, because this is a weakness here, that Luis Rivera specifically said that they were doing it for Wendy. So Luis Rivera had no contact with Donna. And Katie McManua elicited Sigfredo to do the killing. Katie claims she didn't know Luis was involved, which we know is false based on all that's been said in the case. She totally picked apart Katie McManua. That's to be expected. She said Katie lied multiple times, but the phone records prove otherwise. That's true. And she said Katie can't tell the truth. Luis Rivera said, quote, "My client is not involved." So once again, she should have just said Mrs. Adelson or Donna. Donna Adelson is not involved, as opposed to my client. She claimed that relocation was a big issue and it was killed. Again, bad choice of words. It was killed because it was lost. Well, the issue might have died from a legal perspective, but in terms of Donna and Wendy and the whole Adelson family, minus Rob, it continued to be a huge, huge point of contention. So that's my commentary there. Then she blamed it on Charlie and Wendy, saying that neither one of them was honest with their mother. Well, that could have been true. So good for Fulford to try to shift the blame to the kids. Fulford said Wendy is the one who started it, and poor Donna is charged with murder because of what she wrote in emails. So again, this is kind of funny because when Mona and I did the comedic videos during our improv comedy, we guessed at what Donna's wacky defense could be. And that's exactly what we joked about, that Donna was going to just poo-poo everything and say, well, all I did was write some emails. Of course I was upset because my precious little daughter was being treated so poorly by gibbers. So anyway, I did see some things that reflected what Mona and I had said during our comedy. Of course, when I do comedy, I can speak a lot better, but I'm not going to put on the Donna Adelson voice because people think I'm being disrespectful if I'm trying to do a serious video and using the wacky Donna voice. So you'll just have to bear with me croaking and drinking water. Okay, so this I found pretty weird also. Why would she flash up this huge list of negative, offensive words that Donna called Dan Markel? it's very bizarre. She was highlighting bad points and drawing more attention to them, to the jurors. So she had a whole list of bad words, and she tried to say, well, this one was from an email from March of 2011, where Donna Adelson called Dan Markel's parents a, quote, royal couple. So I'm like, yeah, of course, who cares about that? But, calling somebody a royal couple is not really much of an insult. And of course, it's from 2011 when Dan was still married to Wendy. Then there's a whole list of other things such as major fucker, gibbers, religious zealot, royal jackass, Elvis. So once again, why would you put that on the big screen for the jury to see? Because it clearly shows she hates Dan Markel. She has no respect for him, and she's not above calling him a bunch of curse words too. Then Jackie continued her righteous false indignation by sort of raising her voice and saying, that's why we are sitting here today. Are you serious? Yes, they are serious. Okay. So she repeatedly said that Donna, poor Donna, she has a lack of ability to restrain herself. So I'm like, okay, well, isn't that the truth? But Jackie tried to use that to Donna's advantage to say, well, if she's such a blabbermouth and she can't restrain herself, then why didn't we see in these texts and emails that she wanted to kill Dan Markel? So, what do you expect a defense attorney to do? If there's some sort of opening where you can try to frame things in the favor of your client, then why not? So I don't really fault Fulford for making that argument. Let's see. So Fulford focused on, well, what did she do prior to July 2014? The relocation issue was dead for over a year before he was killed. So, legally it was over. But once again, the truth is that this whole relocation issue was something that Wendy and her parents were totally obsessed with. As Jeff LaCasse said, that was something that was a constant conversational topic where Wendy was either complaining about Danny or complaining about Tallahassee and talking about how much she hated being stuck in Tallahassee because of him. Then Fulford claimed that she didn't even know about the grandma motion issue, which of course we know isn't true because Wendy did constantly forward legal filings to her mother, get input on them. Her mother would help her edit things. She was totally in the thick of things. So I wrote as a comment, parentheses, dumb oversimplification of everything. So that's how Fulford operated. She just glossed over and didn't address a lot of the bad evidence against Donna, tried to downplay things or spin it their way. So I was kind of surprised, but, it makes sense. She did say Charlie did it. And it sure looks like Wendy Adelson did it. Okay, so good job defending your client and forgetting about this loyal family clinging to the same story. Then she said, why are they now saying Donna Adelson paid for it? Katie McDaniel was telling her sick story, says she doesn't know how much she got. Then she starts going into Southern accent mode here. Okay, let me get some water. Jeez, I ran out of throat lozenges and ginger juice already. Charlie told her Donna Adelson had washed it. Okay, so she's like mocking Katie McDaniel, and she noted that Lewis didn't say the money was wet or washed. So that's a good point there. And that's what I've been picking on in numerous live streams, as well as the comedic stuff that we've done with Mona, is that, that was just a guess that at first when Katie said that the cash grew mold on it, and she thought that Donna Adelson must have washed the cash. So, of course, it's kind of interesting how by this trial, now Katie is saying with more conviction that she mentioned it to Charlie later, and Charlie was the one that said his mom had washed the cash, and they had a good laugh over that. So it is true that Lewis didn't say the money was wet, but Katie didn't really say the money was wet from the beginning either. From what I recall, Katie first said that it wasn't until weeks later, after she had put the cash still in the bag into her closet, then she took it out and saw it had mold on it. And she mentioned it to Sigfredo, who told her, why don't you blow dry it, as if that's going to help if mold has already grown on your cash. Whereas Lewis said during his proffer interview that as soon as he got the money, he went over to give thousands of dollars to one of his baby mamas, and he also paid his mother's rent. So he seemed to have his cash out where it could further dry out, and gave it away, paying for different things pretty quickly. So that's my explanation as to why Lewis's money didn't grow mold. So, but that's good that Fulford pointed that little point. So she said it was Charlie's money that was paid, but now it's her fault, meaning Donna. Okay, so righteous indignation. Wendy did the e-fight. That's a non-issue. So then she gets indignant again, raising her voice, saying this could not be, that they would kill Dan Markel as a birthday gift. Really? Well, that's the state's theory, and that's probably what happened. But she's claiming it's so preposterous that, no, you can't even believe it. So I can't believe she said this without laughing, but she did. She said Charlie gave paella. So that was the gift that they had to have these secret texts about and delete them, erase this text message, Charlie, because we can't talk about paella. Yeah, right. So then she raised her voice again and said, they want you to convict her. Yes, they do. Okay. That's their theory, and they're spinning it. Rob only saw them 2 times in 2.5 years. This is a guy with an axe to grind. He's a busy guy. So he flew in the night before Harvey's birthday. The next day, he packed up his wife and kids and left because he's busy. But you got to believe him. Rob didn't have the knowledge. He is clearly estranged by his family. You're smarter than that. So she was like, scolding, had this scolding attitude towards the jurors, which I found off-putting again. So, I mean, these are middle-aged people who are mostly at least 30, 35 to 60 looking. So I'm sure they didn't appreciate Jackie getting all preachy and indignant and raising her voice and, kind of scolding them like, better, he has an axe to grind. Yeah. So, I mean, I can understand why she did it, but it again, I think it backfired because it hurts her credibility. If you're going to be raking Rob over the coals, well, maybe he's estranged from the family because he suspected that his family had something to do with killing Dan. So I thought he came across as very sad and hurt and very uncomfortable to be there in front of his parents. And you gave him a lot of respect and credibility because he dared to break out of the family bond and come forth and say the truth. So I don't think that was good. She totally went overboard, raking Rob over the coals and trying to tear apart his credibility. So don't like that. So Jackie, again, sorry to just call her Jackie, but it's too hard to keep saying her full name. Okay. Jackie said some ugly thing. Oh, she said Donna said some ugly things and meddles in their lives, but she's just being a parent, not a murderer. She said, there's nothing about Donna Adelson. There's not a single thing that connects my client to Dan Markel's murder. Well, once again, it's like, look at these puzzle pieces, all the circumstantial evidence plus some direct evidence. But she wants to frame it for the jury as there's not a single piece of evidence that connects my client. Again, she calls Donna my client to Dan's murder. Okay, so then she talks about there was mediation, and why would Donna be so concerned about the money if they were going to kill him? But I thought that's a stupid argument, because I think mediation was probably in 2013. So that could have been way before Charlie even got Katie to recruit Sigfredo to kill Dan. So that was a dumb argument. The $1 million bribe. Once again, she's saying she wasn't doing, they're not doing anything illegal. Yeah, we know it's not illegal, but the fact that she would even think to offer $1 million shows you how much relocation and getting Wendy and the kids down to South Florida meant to Donna. So again, I didn't think that was a good way to sway the jury. And again, righteous indignation, she says that shame on them, as if shame on the state for, making it look bad that my client was going to offer money to Dan Markel so Wendy could leave. Then she pointed out that when making the Geek Squad appointment, getting an earlier appointment was okay to Donna, who I guess set it up. Then she starts playing the call of Wendy to Donna when Wendy was sitting in the police interview. Yeah, and that again, it's probably because we know so much about the case and all the stuff against Wendy, but it really annoyed me to hear Wendy's voice again on that fake sounding phone call with her fake sweet voice. That's my opinion. And Fulford's conclusion was, see, my client sounded totally concerned. There's nothing out of the ordinary. See, she wasn't involved with the murder. But my question is, what about asking more questions that a normal person would have asked if she had nothing to do with Dan's murder? You didn't hear Donna asking more questions like where did he get shot? Where was he? Was it a burglary? Did I know who did it? Like, did anyone see what happened? Instead it was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so that was a very short, weird phone call, which I think was totally pre-planned and staged. Maybe starting with the code word, Mom, sit down. Just my guess. Okay, then Jackie Fulford tries to downplay that road trip to Charlie's house the night of the murder, where Donna allegedly brought the cash to pay the hitmen. Now, Fulford mentions that they are a 70-year-old and 64-year-old couple making a trip the night of July 18th, 2014, and it took 11 years passed before the investigator decides to ride the route. Okay, so did he really have to do it? Well, I mean, I don't know why he didn't do it earlier, okay, but he did do it, and he tried to time it at about the same time. Fulford is saying he only did a segment of it. I'm not sure what that means. And he got snacks and coffee. But the state didn't take into account the time to possibly eat a meal, get gas, use the bathroom. Instead, the state rushed to judgment against Donna and said, if you're not there, then it must have had something to do with murder. Well, I still think it's very suspicious given that that was the night after Dan had been shot and they're going to their son's house. And Katie McBanwell said that Charlie told her her parents had come by to drop off the money. So Fulford said they never bothered to get her SunPass records. They cannot put my client's phone at Charlie's home. It's just their theory. Outside your house. But do you have any evidence of it? No, they can't put her there. Okay, but again, this is kind of drawing more attention to stuff that is bad for Donna, because just as Kappelman said in rebuttal, when you say outside your house and you're texting it to your son, doesn't that mean that you are outside his house? And then he says 10 minutes, he'll be there in 10 minutes. I mean, it makes sense. Maybe somebody turned off their cell phone. I have no idea. At this point, I noticed that there was a Caucasian man who was sitting in the back next to the older-looking woman. He looked about 40 years old. He was wearing another pinkish button-down collared shirt with a black jacket on. I noticed he kept rocking back in his seat, and it was very obvious. Like, I wonder if he was just like getting agitated or something, because it seemed like 80% of the time when I looked at him, he was like rocking back and forth with this kind of pensive, unhappy look on his face. Okay, so I noted that people look sort of tired, grim, and dubious, but paying attention, which is good, paying attention. Fulford said they locked in on Donna Adelson. They tried to build a path, and calling Robert Adelson to testify was a mistake. I wrote, ha, because I totally don't agree with this part. Then Patricia Bird, she got the race of the investigator wrong. And then she said, my client confessed to her. But under cross, Patricia Bird couldn't remember if Donna confessed to writing the checks or confessed to everything. Okay. But, she still said that Donna confessed, or she did it. Okay. So they all stipulated that Patricia Bird was never on the witness list for Donna Adelson. Okay. But I don't really think much of that. Then she got Drina's last name wrong, and she said Drina Bird. It's really Drina Bernhardt. Drina is a 27 times convicted felon and or convicted of crimes involving dishonesty, facing 15 years in prison. Then she starts putting on the Southern twang again to get your attention. Who shows up with paper and a writing instrument? Ms. Bernhardt takes out her little hot pink folder or whatever, her notebook, and starts tapping on it, telling her to write. Start writing. Okay, but then she moves on to talking about who owns the business, who owns the Adelson Institute, who's she doing the salary for? She did it for everybody. Charlie told her, Donna, to write the checks. He had his mother doing the bills, doing everything. She's doing everything. So we're supposed to feel sorry for Donna because she has so much work to do and she's not the boss. She is the person who is being bossed around by Charlie and then later Harvey. Then at 2:55 p.m., I noted that mentor lawyer who was sitting to my right, he got up and left, and I was getting sleepy. The jurors were still looking kind of like grim, and they were probably sleepy too because it's after lunch. Fulford said, the only version she hears is what Charlie told her. So once again, throw Charlie under the bus. It's evil Charlie that told her this extortion theory, and she believed him. So once again, that's part of our comedic shtick where Mona and I were doing some trial prep improv comedy. Okay, so Fulford said that Donna wrote the paychecks at Charlie's instruction and thought that Charlie was being extorted. As for the bump, Sanford testified about probable cause, and then they played the bump video, which, I kind of got a kick out of it because I've made so many videos and recreated the bump and the bump call and stuff. So it kind of like perked me up and gave me a little bit of joy to see that video because I think it's such bad evidence against Donna. What did I say? See. Okay. So then Fulford said, "What did she say?" She said, "You scared me, and I don't know what you're calling about." Okay, because Charlie has confessed to his role in the extortion. And I looked at the jury. The jury all looked very serious. They're attentive. They're paying attention. Okay. Then Fulford said, regarding the suspicious sounding phone calls that Donna had with Charlie soon after the bump, she said that she's trying to give him a hint. These are hints, not code words. I'm like, well, you can call them a hint, but it's still a hint to tell him to shut up and let's meet privately so we can discuss this issue that just came up. Okay, so Fulford was arguing that those are hints, not code words, as the state would have you believe. And my comments here were the jury looks bored and tired, and a few people from the gallery leave. Okay, then there's that threatening May 4th, 2016 message from Sammy, the fake gang member, undercover guy. And May 6th is that phone call that I have reenacted multiple times in a comedic fashion where Donna called the undercover cop and they played the recording. And once again, my ears perked up and I was like, yeah, I know all these words already. And so Fulford is playing that in hopes that the jury is going to feel sorry for Donna. But in my head, I was thinking, this is ridiculous. Why do you want to focus more on this stupid phone call where it's so obvious to me, if you read between the lines, Donna had something to do with Dan's murder, because this whole time she's like, whimpering and telling the undercover cop that she has no involvement. She doesn't know what he's talking about. He should go to the police. It's like, well, you never even went to the police. You weren't concerned enough to contact the police or the prosecution or something and tell them, look, there's some weird guy who says he knows the person who killed Dan Markell. But instead, Donna carried on. This phone call was probably about like 10 minutes long, 10, 11 minutes long, I think. So my notes were, it is ridiculous to emphasize it. Fulford said that there's no evidence of first-degree murder with premeditation. The state is asking you to find that she's a principal, that she helped another person to kill someone, and intended the crime to occur and incited or encouraged the person, but there's no evidence. All she did was write checks that her son told her to write from the business account. Okay, that's not all. But of course, once again, Fulford is trying to skim over and ignore all the other pieces of evidence. She said, this isn't cute. This isn't powdered sugar. Regarding the trip to Vietnam, she said that Harvey and Donna took some credit cards, 2 pieces of luggage, and 1 carry-on. Then she showed this picture of the luggage. And she said the investigators didn't even look in the luggage. Okay, which again, I think, well, so what, Then she showed this picture, which I couldn't even tell if that was a real safe or not. She said it was a little bitty safe in the closet. So there's no way $138,000 in cash would have fit in there. Couldn't happen. The investigator never even touched it. But the picture that I saw, it didn't obviously look like a safe. It looked like some clothes hanging on the right side with a little shelf. And then there was some sort of lump that I guess was the little safe with some fabric over it. So that I thought was weird. If you really want to show that the safe was so small, then why don't you just have a simple, discrete picture of the safe by itself without clothes and some fabric or blanket or something on it. It was a weird picture. Fulford said, they finally admit there is no evidence that she was going to flee. When Dan Markel was killed, Donna Adelson was not arrested, and then Fulford goes down all the years, in 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 20, 21, or 22, Donna Adelson was not arrested. So I'm like, so what? Does that mean she's innocent, that she had nothing to do with Dan Markel's death? Not every criminal gets arrested right after someone gets murdered. But of course, what do you expect? That's like what Fulford has to say. She's got to pull out all the stops to try to sway the jury, right? She said when Mrs. Adelson got her visa, there was no warrant. Yeah, we know that. She didn't do anything wrong. They waited until she presented her ticket and got on the little walkway. It was a setup. I was like, give me a break. Do we feel sorry for Donna that they arrested her when she had already scanned her ticket? I think they had to, in order to show that she clearly had the intent to get away. So, but once again, Fulford puts her spin on it and tries to make it look like the investigators are a bunch of overzealous bullies going after this innocent little grandma. They set her up so they could say, oh, we captured the matriarch murderer. But Donna Adelson, she can't help herself from running her mouth, sort of like Charlie, right? Not one word about wanting Danny Markel killed. There is not a single piece of evidence that ties my client to this murder. You have to find her not guilty. Please take this case seriously. Don't get talked into something you don't agree to. Don't buy into what the state has said. There's no direct evidence, and this circumstantial evidence isn't really evidence. Okay, so then on rebuttal, Georgia Kappelman really had 7 minutes and 6 seconds left, but I think the judge as well as the defense let her go a little bit over time. Kappelman's rebuttal was very succinct and well done. She had this great presentation already put up on the screen. One side was white, then there was like a not equal sign in red, followed by other words in red on the right side of this display, okay? She talks about how absurd Fulford's arguments were. For example, they want you to believe that, quote, outside your house does not equal outside your house. A very contentious divorce is not a very contentious divorce. That the TV repair appointment does not equal an alibi. That this TV is not equal to code. And then the bottom one was question, what does it involve? Answer, the two of us. Does not equal, it involves the two of us. Okay, so that was a great visual aid, I think, to show the division between what truth is or what common sense is versus what Donna's defense would have you believe. Kappelman said that, this is kind of common sense, of course, that Donna Adelson claims that I made her get a one-way ticket to Vietnam, and her decision to get a fast-track visa was some sort of setup, but I didn't set her up. That's Kappelman saying that I didn't set her up. Wendy did tell her mom she was giving up on relocation, but Donna's response was, we're going to fight this guy. Never, never, never give up, right? This murder charge isn't based on just saying bad words. You have to look at the whole thing. There's no smoking gun, but she took precautions and made mistakes. Everyone accountable for this murder should be held accountable. Rely on your own memory. For example, that the child also said that grandma thinks you're stupid. And Does Rob really have an axe to grind? And Mary Hull said that Adelson Institute changed ownership in 2022. That's what the defense claimed, which I know for a fact is totally wrong because I read Charlie's civil deposition from his disability case. And at the deposition, he did say that in 2015, sorry, this is just too hard for me. Charlie did say that in 2015, he sold the business back to Harvey. So it was in 2022 that the Adelson Institute was sold altogether to this other dental practice, which is called something like DR Dental or DNR Dental Associates, something like that. So the defense screwed up on that detail. Then Kappelman said, do you need some past records? The text that says outside your house means outside your house. Maybe Donna did go inside the house. Kappelman wasn't sure, but sure sounds like Donna was outside Charlie's house that night of the murder. She was there regarding the grandma motion. Donna Adelson claims that she wrote those checks to save her son's life. Okay, so once again, I'm sure the jury can see through that and see how ridiculous it is that, number one, Charlie claimed he was extorted, and number two, that Donna just took his word for that and believed that he had been extorted. On the wire, after the bump, Donna Adelson did not say, oh my God, it's happened again. Instead, why did she use code words? And why did she Google the words extortion versus blackmail shortly before Charlie was convicted during his trial, I guess? And why was Charlie's attorney meeting up with Sigfredo Garcia's attorney if Sigfredo was the person who was extorting Charlie back in 2016? So almost done here. Remember the words, probably the two of us, probably. Probably involves both of us. Okay. Kappelman said Donna decides what other people need, and any ends are justified. She thought that's what they needed, which was to kill off Dan Markel. Dan Markel was a thing standing in their way. She showed a text or an email where Donna said that children do not have a memory before 5 and 6, which is totally not true because I remember things that happened when I was 2 and 3. Then this is what's very sad, that apparently the older son was crying a lot. And Donna said in her callous email that I still do not, all in caps, N-O-T, believe that Ben is, quote, sad about his father. I spend a minimum of 25 hours a week with him, and oftentimes more than that. And I think it's just a phase. So she didn't believe that the poor kid is sad or was sad because she can't take the responsibility of her actions. That's what Kappelman said. She wrote a script for a witness based on an extortion lie. She wrote the checks because she was neck deep in all this. Have the common sense to find her guilty. Then it was over. And the two alternates, those were the African-American woman who looked to be in her 30s, as well as a blonde Caucasian woman who also looked to be maybe in her mid-30s. They both got up and left. And I thought it was kind of nice that the judge told them if they wanted to know the results of the trial, they could be contacted by one of the clerks later. So then they were told to leave the transcript of the phone calls on their seats. And then suddenly there was some sort of loud clanking noise. I guess something must have fallen off a chair or fallen off somewhere when the jurors were all getting up to move out. So the judge kind of broke the tension and said, "I'll send you a bill." So there was a little bit of laughter there. But once again, this has to do with the sad murder of Dan Markel. So people didn't, totally break out in laughter and stuff. So that's what happened this afternoon. And after that, I was totally wiped out. And so I was like, I'm going back to the hotel. And luckily, I was sitting next to Patty Wilson from Patty's Playhouse. And she said that she would text me if anything happened. So let me look at my phone and see if either Patty has texted me yet. Because Patty, my roommate, Patty, the former Harvey Adelson employee, she also decided to stay at the courthouse for a little while. So no, I don't think anybody's texted me yet. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's just so nice to meet people here. I said goodbye to Mentor Lawyer. He was like holding some snacks out in the rotunda and maybe working on his phone or something when I was leaving. And I saw Ruth Markel again and exchanged some words to her. And she was too busy to meet up. And, I offered to take her out to dinner and stuff, but she's so busy and she has plenty of stuff to do while she's here. So we're just waiting now. I can't believe it's over. It's over a lot faster than I thought because I'm staying until tomorrow, 5 p.m. So now I can't believe it's been 46 minutes of this, but hope you guys enjoyed hearing my notes and quick commentary and summary of it. And I still feel like they should have gotten Stephen Webster to testify because that motion in limine did not summarily, did it? I don't think the motion in limine ultimately just said that Stephen Webster could not opine about certain things about family law outcomes because he's not a family law expert, but he still could have testified about other things since he's a direct witness who spoke with Dan Markel and was right in the thick of things with the family court filings shortly before Dan was shot. So I thought that the state could have beefed up their case a little bit more by calling Stephen Webster. It was great seeing his office yesterday because Patty and I happened to drive by Webster and Baptiste, and they once again have their electronic flashing sign in front of their building, and it says "Justice for Dan." I tried to take a picture of it, but I didn't click it at the right moment, so I just missed it. So who else I still think, again, it would have been great to hear from Ruth Markel as well as Sarah Youssef, because even if Sarah Youssef only had like one or two sentences to say, that within a week or two after Dan Markel's murder, she was at the Adelsons' condo. I think it was a condo where maybe it was their house, where they had a birthday party for Dan and Wendy's older son. And Donna was griping in the kitchen to her and saying like, yeah, they're saying that he's like this like beloved law professor, talking about him like he's some beloved law professor, but you know something? He was a real jerk. So even Sarah was taken aback, thinking that was a really inappropriate thing to say since he had just died. So, and I think poor Ruth Markel has been the recipient of some devious behavior and mean behavior on the part of Donna Adelson. She knew how her son was doing, around the time of his murder, how Wendy was acting, how Donna was acting, and how they treated her after Dan had passed away. So I don't know why those additional witnesses weren't called. There was also a witness about 2.5 to 3 years ago who showed up at the end of, well, she was there the whole time, but at the end of STS Ruth Markel book reading in, was it Sunrise? I think it was Sunrise, Florida, where they had some sort of event in late December. And this woman suddenly stood up in the audience and said she was a former Adelson employee. And Donna Adelson had griped to her so much about Dan Markel. She was all riled up about Dan and Wendy's divorce and all the problems they were having. And she said something about how Donna forgot to pay her because she was so wound up and stressed out over Wendy all the time. So when the poor employee asked to get paid, then Donna got mad and ultimately fired her. So I did speak with that person behind the scenes, and she told me a little more, like saying that Harvey knew everything about the money and the business. He watched the dollars like a hawk. He was totally into the business. He's not some sort of senile or clueless dolt who just lets his wife and, Charlie run the show or anything. He's totally involved with everything. And that they hated Dan. And, originally they did like him, but after Wendy decided to separate from him, that's all they ever talked about, especially Donna, was how much she was mad at Dan. And so, I know she's spoken with investigators and people behind the scenes, but I just don't know why she was never called either. So those are, I don't know, maybe they think it's like repetitious to have so many witnesses, or it's not necessary to prove the elements of the crime. So yeah, okay. No, I'll save the Donna voice for maybe next week if Mona will come back and do something. Yeah. Wonder if they'll get Wendy and Harvey at the same time. Yeah, I still think that Wendy would be next, but wouldn't that be great if they had something on Harvey that we don't know about? Yeah. Oh, you did a short about the suit? Okay, I'll have to take a look at it. Please support Dawn's channel also. Oh, thank you very much. Please don't send the link. What? Okay, I don't understand what that means. Please don't send link to Loophole Lawyer. All right, well, thank you very much. $2, that's awesome. Let's see. I don't think it's petty. The way a defense lawyer dresses is important. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it should be clean and neat. Yeah, I was looking at the back of her suit from where I was sitting. I was like, that looks like a good suit. It didn't look cheap or anything, but then you look down at her arms, and I swear it was more than 3 inches too long. That's got to be uncomfortable because you're like grabbing at papers and typing at your computer and stuff. Like, why would you want to go around wearing a suit jacket that is like 3 to 4 inches too long? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. How is Jackie able to quote Wendy's testimony from a previous trial in her closing? Oh, did she? Which testimony? I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got way too many notes here. So, yeah. Well, of course, the closing arguments is not supposed to be evidence. So, yeah, Linda Bailey, those two bit attorneys for the defense, especially the one with straight hair, she was so condescending and rude. Yeah, I totally agree. And so that's why Loophole made a comedic video making fun of that yesterday. She slandered everyone. Don't see that playing. Yeah, especially Rob. Why would you attack Rob like that and so viciously? That's horrible. He doesn't have an axe to grind, or if he does, why is it? Well, it's because he realized how evil his mother was. Yeah, you think we'll get a verdict today? Yeah, I'll keep looking at my phone to see if anyone texted me. Not yet. Yeah, because I don't really feel like going back to the courthouse just to sit around. Plus, I have another live stream lined up at 8 o'clock, so just gotta rest a little bit. Consciousness of guilt was not given in jury instructions or argued by Georgia. In summation, it would help to emphasize that. Yeah, well, I'm sure they know what they're doing because Katie Bogenschutz said that the man who was showing up to help Georgia and Sarah Catherine Dugan was, I think his name is Eddie Evans, We've seen him at some previous hearings, but he's kind of like the guru of jury instructions to make sure they're all correctly done. So I'm not too worried about that. I think it's pretty obvious that she fled to Vietnam, or she tried to, because she knew she was next and she was involved in the murder. That's my opinion. Yeah. 1 hour. Yeah, that's right. Charlie's jury. See, not only did they have to go to lunch, but they also had to gather up all these people together and get Charlie back into the courtroom. So there was even more delay. So really, in terms of how long it took Charlie's jury to come up with their verdict, it probably was as quick as 2 hours or even 1.5 hours. I don't know, because some of it wasn't just deliberating. Yeah. STS is still reporting the plea deal? What? Okay. Was that old news that Jack Campbell refuted a few weeks ago? Yeah, Mentor Lawyer was just disgusted about that. Yeah. Her pants bag? Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Yeah. Hey, guys. Yeah, jury will, they'll probably have questions. Yeah. Lots of defense bots out in comments in the shorts. Social media is a beast. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Georgia did raise her voice and get passionate and animated at times, which is great to see. No, I don't have anything warm, but this is now room temperature. Yeah, interested in here. Yeah, they both sat closer to the jury than I did because I couldn't get a closer seat. I was on the defense side. They were on the state side. So yeah, I haven't had time to watch tons of other contents, but I did watch some of Fancy's videos when I had time. Yeah, I don't have any tea here. Oh, I did bring, hold on a second. Let me get that throat coat tea. Yeah, I had to bring this from home. This is thanks to Rebecca, I think that's her name, one of my subscribers. She sent me a huge box full of Yogi throat comfort tea quite a while ago, but I'm still going through all the tea bags because I think she ordered it from Amazon. And thank you very much for that. I've definitely been making use out of it. Okay. Yeah, no more than 3 hours. Yeah, I don't think it should take that long. Okay, well, I hope so. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's just nothing that seems to get better. So, hey, Mona, thanks for coming here. This is last minute. Where is Carl? I saw him there. I didn't talk to him or John. But like I said, there's really not much time to socialize. So you see people, you might wave or say hi or something, but everything's kind of running like clockwork. And during lunch, I felt kind of rushed to hurry up and eat something and use the bathroom and then, do something during lunchtime. So everybody's really busy. And Patty was sitting next to me typing like crazy the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Hey, Don. Wasn't Jackie fabulous? Which Jackie? Was it Jackie from last night, from Jackie St. Germain? Or are you talking about Fulford? Yeah. She's a defense attorney doing her job. I did hear the evidence. Yeah, I think she's guilty also. But so glad Rob brought out the fact that Wendy tried to pull him into the plot by texting a picture of Jeff and saying it was her secret boyfriend. Yeah, it just shows how manipulative she can be. Well, usually when the jury's deliberating, they'll just have them stay even past 5. I mean, right now it's past 6. I assume they're all still there at the courthouse. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Don. Or tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, Jackie was previously a judge, but being investigated. Yeah, she voluntarily resigned, I think. Yeah, they said it was a permanent disability. I didn't hear him specifically say that, but I was sitting so far away. There were times I couldn't hear exactly what the attorneys were saying, or, it's hard to hear. Yeah, that's a good question, but I don't think they would stay past, say, like 8 or 9 o'clock. That's asking too much of people. Yeah, I can't wait for the next comedy video. Fastest jury verdict. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Oh, okay. So this other case was only 6 minutes of deliberation. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Keto. She was helping Georgia convict her client. Yeah. I mean, wasn't that weird? Like, she just kept bringing up all these like weird points, and that bump video and the phone call. I was like, man, those all just make Donna seem guilty as anything. Oh, and one great point that Georgia Kappelman brought up in her closing was that even after the bump, right after Sammy left, Donna just continued walking into the school, and then she comes right back out right on that same road with the 2 children to take them home. So that didn't make any sense, because if you're so scared of some weirdo that just approached you and saying something about Dan Markel's murder, then why would you just be so nonchalant about it and then bring your kids back out into the open where somebody could still be following you or, spying on you with the kids? And it was great that Kappelman even had a picture of that, a picture of Donna wearing the same bump outfit, of course, walking on that sidewalk with the 2 kids. So that was a great point that Georgia made too. Okay. Oh, Joel says they'll have up until 11:30. Man, but that seems kind of cruel to the poor jury members. Yeah. How do they have such young paralegals and interns? Yeah. Well, I guess once you get older, then these people start looking younger and younger to you, right? Like, it's kind of weird now when I go to different medical practices and the doctors and the staff. I'm like, they look like they just graduated from college or from medical school or something. It makes me feel so old. So I thought Jackie was part of the prosecution. Yeah, I mean, it was weird. Like, she kept highlighting stuff with this like ultra indignant attitude, but yet it was like, huh? Oh, that just shows how stupid your client is and how freaking guilty your client is. Yeah. Oh yeah, the banging on the lectern. Yeah, yeah. Somebody made a funny comment, I think, on Deep Dive True Crimes chat during that time, saying that, oh, that poor lectern is going to need a victim's advocate, because she was like assaulting the lectern, banging. Yeah, she totally overdid it, especially with the Southern twang thing, like, oh, y'all, like how dare the state do this? And then she took out her little pink notebook and started writing on it and tapping on it, a little notebook, a notepad. It was just weird. Yeah. There's no way the jury can find her anything but guilty. I was appalled when Georgia brought out the real definition for gibbers. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll just kind of scroll down and call it a day for now, because I have to get back on at 8. So if anyone has some questions. Okay. Yeah, the jury's still deliberating. Yeah, let me see. Oh, you're thinking of the jury from the Karen Reed trial who claimed after the fact they didn't understand? Oh, yeah, sometimes you get some strange people on the jury. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Mona. Okay, that's nice. Thank you guys for appreciating the comedy. So, yeah, it's kind of like a good way to kind of burn off steam or something. So, yeah. Never want to hear Katie speak again. She offers nothing. Katie McBenoit, it's almost like it would be better. Well, I think she still offered something to tie the Adelsons to the murder, though. Yeah, but what a stupid person for trusting Charlie and still costing the state so much to have her tried twice. Yeah. Okay. Yes, there is a Whole Foods. We passed by it yesterday also, the one that Wendy saw Dan Markel at. So, yeah, thank you. Oh, okay. Lewis's cut would have been pulled out of the bag first. Katie's came from the bottom of the bag. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Or maybe there was just a little bit of moisture, and since she kept it in the plastic bag and hid it away in her closet for weeks, that's why hers grew mold. Oh, okay. Thank you. You have a Filipino aunt who likes watching me. That's nice. Speaking of Filipinos, so there is some Asian man that was working at the courthouse cafe. So later today, I ran into Steve Cohen when I was there. And so Steve apparently had already become friendly with the person who either owns or works at the courthouse cafe. So he asked me what ethnicity I was. He thought I was Chinese, which I guess I am, even though my ancestors left China for Taiwan like 500 years ago. But turns out he's Vietnamese because I thought he was Filipino. See, sometimes it's hard to tell people apart. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Tato seemed credible. Okay. Thank you again. Yeah, I know. There's just like too many things not to just poke fun about since there's so many crazy characters and people acting stupid in this case. Yeah. Okay, so let me just scroll down. Oh, really? Okay. Well, hey, Patty, you're there. Okay, that's so funny. Yeah, it's been great hanging out with Patty, these last few days. Okay. So he has a new video. Really? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I think he just likes pushing people's buttons. Oh, they have to have people with opposing views. I wonder if Dr. Graber's been on more often too. Yeah. Okay, I just love the screen name Charlie's Chicken Nuggets. And I really do want to go back to Wendy's to buy some chicken nuggets now. That was good advertising. Charlie was wearing a suit. Oh, because of course it makes her seem like a down-home grandma type who's not a rich elitist. But then having her rich friends come and testify for her and look like fools, that kind of canceled out her meek, demure grandma look. Yeah. Okay, I have to look at that. That it's not real, of course. Okay. I think Tim has a crush on Wendy. It's creepy and weird. Okay. Yeah. Although I do, just for accuracy's sake, if you saw that wedding video that Patty Ann still has on her YouTube channel, Wendy's eyes are blue in that video, and she was probably around 7 at that time. But I mean, it seems pretty obvious in those professional pictures of her where her eyes are really, really like blue or bluish greenish or something. Those are definitely either contacts or Photoshop because nobody has eyes that color for real. Yeah. George should have left out the birthday stuff. You mean Georgia? Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the whole birthday party euphemism for or birthday gift thing, I think that was important. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we have time to go back out there. It's not walking distance. It's okay. I'm leaving tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. So the final jury makeup. So if you really want to know, because I went over that a few days ago when Patty and I did our live stream together. Let's see. Oh, okay. So let me look for those specific notes then. So that's good that they kept the oldest looking woman. I mean, she didn't even look that old. She might have been like around 60-ish or something, but she kind of had that grandma look, wearing a cardigan and with grayish, blondish hair that was probably like chin length in a bob. And she was taking notes. She seemed, well, they all seemed very attentive. Yeah, so that was great to see how attentive and seriously the jurors were taking the whole proceedings. Okay, so once again, I hope people do not get offended, but this is how I would describe people. Okay, so the first person was so this one person, the Caucasian woman in her mid-30s, possibly, she was an alternate, so she was already sent home. Okay, the next person was should I just say white instead of Caucasian? Because it's harder to say more syllables. Okay, so the white guy that looked like Michael J. Fox with the Alex P. Keaton hair, about 35 years old. The next guy was a bald white guy, slightly chunky, around 45 years old. The next guy was a chunky white guy with a brown beard, appeared to be about 45. I think he was the one that sort of looked like brawny man. Then there was a young, skinny, pale white guy, about 25, with blonde hair. So I said I liked his hairstyle. Okay, next person was another white guy, late 30s, brown hair with a slight beard. Next person was a skinny white guy, about 50, with salt and pepper hair and a mustache. The next person was the grandmotherly lady who was a plump white woman in an olive cardigan with grayish blonde housewife hair, about 55. The next person was a skinny, pale white guy with a slight mustache, the one that was rocking fiercely. He was rocking so much today. I'm surprised that nobody said anything, or the judge should have told him, stop shaking in your chair, wearing the pink collared shirt and a black suit jacket again. Because these are notes from the first day I was here. Light brown hair, he looked about 50-ish. Then there was a woman, I think more likely she's maybe Hispanic, Latina, but she could have been South Asian, I'm not sure. Looked to be early 30s with glasses and long hair. Then there was a white woman, maybe 35, with blonde hair pulled back. There was another white woman with dark blonde, long hair with the dark smoky eyes. And then there was the black man, about 35 to 40, just medium build. I couldn't see him too well because he was the farthest away from me. So those were the jurors. I'm surprised there were so many men on the jury. Yeah. So, okay. So I think that's it. Let's see, any last minute things? Yeah, we're all on verdict watch now. Yeah, I have to keep looking at my phone. Yeah, what is housewife hair? Well, it just kind of looked like I don't know how to explain it. It was kind of like a bob, mostly one length and maybe slight bangs or something, and slightly poofy. Yeah. So the people that got pulled were the African-American woman and a Caucasian woman. Both of them looked about 35-ish. Yeah. I don't think there were any Jewish grandmothers. The lady sitting at the end, I mean, I don't know how you can tell if someone looks Jewish or not, but she did not look stereotypically Jewish. I don't know. So, okay. Hey, bossy Texas chick. Yeah, nice to see you guys here. I think both of them are good, but people seem to get more riled up if I'm chewing the chewy ones, because then it looks more like I'm smacking away and eating. Yeah. Yeah, mountain man. Yeah. Yeah, he looked very sturdy, like brawny man. Yeah. Could it be possibly? No, I'm sure Yeah, I'm sure that is Harvey's daughter. Yeah. Yeah, she could still wear blue contacts to enhance whatever her real eye color is. The birthday stuff angers me. It became too convoluted. There wasn't enough meat there, especially now that we know Rob was there. There was so much else to talk about. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, still not the best. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So time for me to get up and move around because I've been sitting so much, and I'll be back at 8 o'clock with Larita, who is an attorney. She's originally from New Jersey. She's a graduate of Rutgers and University of District of Columbia Law School, and she's an attorney with the federal government now. She's going to be the guest, and we'll probably just react to maybe closing or some sort of cross examination. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for caring about justice for Dan, because that's what we're here for. See you guys later tonight. Take care.